There's a quiet terror in watching something you built fall to pieces. The business fails, the relationship dissolves, the grand plan you spent years drafting evaporates into thin air. Most people meet this moment with despair. They look at the wreckage and see an ending, a definitive verdict on their worth. They mourn the loss, sink into bitterness, and spend the rest of their days wondering why the universe conspired against them. But what if the collapse wasn't a tragedy? What if the ruin of your plans is actually the only way to build something that cannot be broken? Most people go through life terrified of failure because they mistake their constructs for their identity. They believe they are their job title, their bank account, or their social standing. When those things fracture, they feel themselves fracturing too. But Carl Jung observed that human beings rarely alter their trajectory when things are comfortable. We do not evolve when life goes according to plan. Real transformation requires an intersection with catastrophe. Jung believed that the psyche often engineers its own downfalls, subconsciously pulling down the structures we cling to so that we are forced to confront what lies beneath them. Here's the truth. Ruin is not the enemy of growth. It is the prerequisite. Think about the last time a major setback hit you. The immediate reaction is almost always resistance. You try to glue the pieces back together, you look for someone to blame, or you sink into a victim mentality, asking why this is happening to you. But if you step back and observe the collapse with absolute clinical detachment, you notice something fascinating. The things that break are almost always the things that were built on a flawed foundation. The relationship that ended was often sustained by a mutual fear of loneliness. The business that failed was frequently driven by a desire for validation rather than value. The ambition that burned you out was usually an attempt to prove something to people you don't even like. When life strips these things away, it isn't punishing you, it is clearing the field. Two people can experience the exact same bankruptcy or betrayal. One views it as an execution of their future and falls into a permanent state of resentment. The other views it as an aggressive form of data collection, a radical restructuring of their reality. The event is identical, the internal architecture is entirely different. Jung once noted that no tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. This means that the depth of your potential is directly proportional to your willingness to endure the descent. You cannot build an unshakable life if you are terrified of the ground shaking. The individuals who become truly formidable are not those who have avoided disaster, but those who have developed a high tolerance for demolition. They don't panic when the walls fall because they know they are the ones who drew the blueprint in the first place. The greatest threat to human potential isn't failure. It's a mediocre success that keeps you comfortable. Most people settle into a life that is good enough. They accept a job that drains their soul because it pays the bills. They stay in dynamics that stifle their growth because predictability feels safer than the unknown. They live in a psychological fortress of their own making, defending it against any form of disruption. But this safety is an illusion. The external world is inherently volatile. Markets shift, people leave, health fluctuates, and environments change. If your peace of mind depends on keeping everything static, you are living in a state of perpetual anxiety. You become a hostage to luck. Cognitive psychologists often point to our tendency to overvalue things merely because we own them, clinging to our miseries because they are familiar, preferring a known hell to an unknown paradise. But the moment you welcome ruin, the moment you stop fearing the end of things, you break the spell. You realize that the worst-case scenario isn't the collapse of your external world, it's the stagnation of your internal one. When you are no longer afraid of starting over, you become dangerous. You can take risks others avoid. You can speak truths others suppress. You can walk away from situations that compromise your integrity because you know that even if everything turns to dust, you have the capacity to rebuild from the ashes. So how do you transition from being a victim of circumstance to an alchemist of chaos? It requires a radical reframing of every setback. When a crisis hits, the untrained mind asks how to fix this. The mastered mind asks what this is clearing the way for. This isn't toxic positivity or blind optimism. It is a cold, calculated strategy. It is the realization that every failure contains a precise diagnostic report of your weaknesses. If a setback broke you, it showed you exactly where you were fragile. If an insult hurt you, it revealed where you still lack self-respect. If a loss immobilized you, it exposed where you were overly dependent. Instead of mourning the loss, study the fracture points. Treat your failures like a scientist treats a failed experiment. It's not personal, it's just feedback. The moment you extract the lesson, the pain of the experience dissipates, leaving behind pure strategic leverage. The people who change the world are never the ones who had a smooth, uninterrupted path. They are the ones who became masters of the pivot. They understand that life does not happen to you, it happens for you, but only if you have the courage to interpret it that way. The collapse of your current reality is often the universe's way of saving you from a life of quiet desperation. The ultimate test of human character is not how you behave when you are winning, but who you become when everything is stripped away. When the applause stops, when the money runs out, when the plan fails, who is left standing in the mirror? If you can look at the wreckage of your life and see a blank canvas rather than a graveyard, you have achieved a true autonomy. You are no longer a puppet of fate or a victim of bad luck. You become the author of your own resurrection. The next time you feel a structure in your life beginning to crack, resist the urge to panic. Don't beg the universe to save it. Step back, fold your arms, and watch it burn. Pay close attention to what survives the fire, because whatever is left after the collapse is the only thing truly worth building upon. Master your relationship with failure, and you eliminate the world's ability to threaten you. If this perspective challenged your way of thinking, leave a comment below. What structure in your life needs to be torn down to make room for something greater? If you're ready to stop reacting to chaos and start using it to your advantage, hit that like button and subscribe. The demolition is just the beginning. See you in the next one.